The scene I chose for this week's video essay assignment is from Alfred Hitchcock's The 39 Steps, a spy movie I watched for week 4 of DS 106. In this scene, the protagonist wanders the Scottish Highlands while fleeing from the police, looking for a place to sleep for the night while searching for Alt na Shelach, his only clue as to the plot he's fallen into. This scene opens with our protagonist entering from the right and moving diagonally down and to the left. Diagonal movement like this in movies can be read as a character moving towards the future or past, with movement up into the right showing movement towards the future and down and to the left being the past. This is not always true, but I think it works in this instance. If not moving towards his past, the character is not moving towards a brighter future by staying in this house, as we will soon find. His stay with these strangers ends in him being chased by the police. The scene immediately sets a tone in the emotions of our characters. You can see that the protagonist controls the scene, being on slightly higher ground than the crofter he has just met. As the scene progresses, you may notice how this contributes to the feeling that the protagonist is in control of the scene. As they begin to talk, you can see that the crofter does not look at the protagonist. The protagonist is trying to find information, and the crofter wants nothing to do with him. He seems wary of the stranger. Yet the protagonist is determined, and doesn't move his gaze from the crofter. This scene has some interesting visuals, with the camera zoom that happened right at the beginning of the conversation, and the cut from the conversation to the mountain, and shortly after, the map. The movement of the camera zoom makes the scene just look more interesting, and the cuts to the still images break up the monotony of the conversation. The same goes for the cut to the van leaving the crofter's house, and the van's movement from the house. Now, we can see that the control has shifted more towards the crofter. The protagonist reveals that he needs a place to stay for the night, giving the crofter more power in a way. You can see they are on more level ground, and the crofter looks directly at the protagonist a few times while the protagonist looks away. This scene has a lot of interesting visuals, from the cuts of movement to still images and the narrative that it conveys, and also just the tone and emotion that is set by the location and expressions of the characters. In that way, I think it's an interesting scene to analyze.